Okay, I'm just waiting notification.
I should be able to share the live feed to my page too.
Okay, boom. Perfect. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have an incredible guest with us tonight who's going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than student captain Brother Tariq Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam.
This means a lot to us that you would take time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast. And also just so we can get to know you better one-on-one. Okay, so the first question we know, this is what we ask everyone, but we know that you're a nation baby, but we still going to ask it anyway. When was the first time you heard the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
And I'd say when I actually heard the teachings was shortly before I registered in 2008. When I first made my connection with the word of God coming from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and it resonated to me that was my man, it had to be maybe about 2006.
2006. Okay, great. Yes, sir. Well, I'm glad you gave us that year. Okay, because so many of us, people who grew up in religion, grew up in the nation, just grew up with strong parents like yours, get to a certain age and maybe not stay in the nation or stick to that religion. What was it about 2006 that made you say this is it?
From a personal standpoint, really, as he's always done, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has bore the weight of raising a nation at the sacrifice of his own family. So it was a believers meeting, I believe, that he did. I want to say it was Holy Day in Memphis.
That's what it was.
And you probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The way that the minister really got personal with us in that believers meeting, speaking about the sacrifice he made with his eldest son. When a mistake was made, or when he was in error, or just in general, how he, treated his children when they would break the law, or when they would, do something that would ultimately embarrass him. He really got personal with us, and I felt like he was talking directly to me in regards to how we as parents, and I'm saying we now because I've ventured into this now.
Yes, sir.
How we as parents must be careful how we, not punish, but how we correct our children, making sure that we're doing it out of love for them and their well-being, and not out of embarrassment or, a stain on our ego. That is when he really went into depth with that. That he spoke, I felt like he spoke directly to me, and it was as though he was wiping the slate clean for our parents, Up to that point, it was like, man, I don't even, ooh. It was like, why, but at that moment, he really just touched my soul, and really opened that up for me, like, oh, wow. Okay, they're still learning how to be parents.
Beautiful point. Beautiful point. Praise be to Allah. As you can see, we both were there, and I knew the year, the date, Memphis, and because it was something that everybody the nation babies who grew up with their parents laboring and working. He talked about him apologizing to Louis Jr. and stuff like that. I was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like the man of God, you know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead.
Right. Man.
That's powerful. Okay, great. So what advice would you give to young people who are children of religion in general, but specifically in the nation, whose parents have labored and worked, and now it's time for them to, because your father's the minister and you're serving as his captain, y'all got to have some kind of relationship in order to make that work. So how were you able to do it?
Indeed, indeed. You know, and some people may not know this or believe this, but you know, really the family dynamic, the father-son dynamic is fairly recent. Like, you know, no, and you know, it's not that not a smear at all. You know, my father is a legend as a student captain and as a student minister.
Yes, sir.
But that dynamic of captain soldier was always there. And I know you know from experience as well.
Absolutely.
We've always had that. You know, that part was first nature. So when we get into the business, we really all business. You know, like we don't be in the laborers meeting saying son, dad, you know. You know what I'm saying? Like we be in the business, we right in it. And people could be in the room with us and they'd be like, you know, I'd be like, yeah, the brother minister says so forth, so, and they be like, your dad? Like, brother minister said.
Yeah. Trust me, I know. Yes, sir.
So we just had that. It was very easy for us to fall into that dynamic because once I, you know, got on the path and registered in 2008, you know, I'm soldiering and I'm following the examples before me, soldiering. And, you know, my captain before me asked me to step up into the captaincy. My father did not ask me to be the captain. He did not promote me to that. And then after my captain asked me to step into the role of captaincy, it went to the regional, which ultimately went to the supreme. My father was like, you know, I'm out. You know, this ain't me. And it just, you know, the work that I put in just spoke for itself, and that went through.
All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. And people are showing you love on Facebook. I can't wait to post this. Brother Daniel E., who always showing love from Chicago, now to Arizona. My sister Naima sends the greetings. Everybody showing love. Thanks to everybody who shows love to the guests, saying Ramadan Mubarak and all of that great stuff.
Ramadan Kareem. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now, okay, boom. Okay, now I was going to come back to this. Now, Brother Captain, now speaking of the work and what I know you from, I haven't been in your city to see you in your captaincy directly, but seeing you hold posts for the Most High Min Farrakhan for all of these years. First of all, can you tell us who your parents are so people can understand the legacy that you're dealing with, your mother and your father?
Yes, sir. Of course. My father is Brother Abdul Aziz Muhammad, formerly known as Brother William Muhammad, by way of Mosque Number 7, and most affectionately known as Robo.
Yes, sir.
And my mother, Sister Sister Aziza Muhammad, formerly known as Sister Dolores Muhammad, again by way of Number 7.
Oh, praise to Allah. Beautiful. Yes, sir. Now, okay.
If I could just add just on the name that, you know, they were blessed to receive these names from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He actually named my mother first. He actually named Sister, the words that he said to my father was, your wife's name is Sister Aziza, and you are Abdul Aziz.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. Okay, so yes, sir. So you're holding post with Most High Min Farrakhan. What is your favorite memory of being around the minister?
Man, what was this? This was just recent. Not this Savior's Day, but the last Savior's Day before the COVID shutdown. We were at the graduation, and the graduation, for long story short, overwhelming. Like I'm looking at the screen. I'm backstage. I'm looking at the screen though, and I'm seeing the brand new believers. You know, their faces is lit up. I mean, they jumping out their seats. Just excitement. And this is also the most heartfelt introduction that I ever heard Brother Supreme give for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I'm already hyped, you know, with that. And man, midway or toward the end of the minister speaking to the new recruits, there was just so much joy and happiness on the face. It overwhelmed, bottom line. So now I got to remove myself. I go all the way backstage because I'm just like, man, I can't even hold it down. I'm crying, everything. And sure enough, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the entourage is coming through, getting into vehicles, and Brother Supreme called me over. And at first he said, "You was crying." Yeah, I said, "Yes, sir," but I apologize. I just couldn't hold it down. It was a lot. So he gave me a quick embrace, and then he just invited me to greet the minister. And this would probably be the second or third time that I was blessed to greet the minister in an intimate capacity. But this time I just, I was just so overwhelmed. And he gave me a hug and he said, I love you through all your tears, dear brother. And I just had, all I could get out was, may Allah continue to bless you, brother minister. That's the only thing I could get out that made sense.
Beautiful. All praise to Allah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, great. All right. Now, my next question is fear. Let's deal with it. So from all your time in the nation being, brought up on the teachings and we start to be fearless, yet we still have to face it. Has there ever been a time where you were faced with fear? And if so, how did you overcome that fear?
I can't say I was never faced with it. I'm kind of built different on stuff like, not to brag or make myself into anything more than what Allah has planned for me, but it's kind of just, it's just in me, man. I'm really, like a great general in the Muslim Islamic history, Tariq who was sent to conquer Spain, a part of Spain, who was known, which that area now is known as the Rock of Gibraltar. That mentality of burn the boats, either we conquer them or they conquer us.
Yes, sir.
I just identify with that, man. That's just my mentality. So every time I was faced, I'll say pressure. Every time I was faced with pressure, I always knew that I had to get through it. I always knew that you got to face it head on. You can't really go around it. You can't sidestep it. Pressure is pressure. And, I seen it break some men. I seen it, really, break some strong men down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We just being in the position to learn from that sometimes is, the blessing. But I've never, in fact, I've always probably been the one, excuse me, I've probably been the one to accept pressure in the face of, even if it's not mine, even if it's not meant for me. I felt like Allah put me there because I could take it.
All praises to Allah. Beautiful, right, Captain? Beautiful. Yes, sir. And people were saying all praises to Allah, showing you love all over the country. Let us know what city you're from in the comments, and we'll put it on YouTube. Please let us know what city you're from as well. Okay, yes, sir. So, Brother Captain, my next question for you is: both of our fathers got to soldier at the Mayman March. We, that wasn't our era, but we had Justice or Else. What was your favorite memory of Justice or Else? 10, 10, 15.
Man, Justice or Else was one thing that still stands out to me. It was the moment where the minister called for brothers to come to the stage after the sisters. And from where I was, I actually was sprinting. Didn't make it, but the reality was we really all were on post. Like, he made that statement. He was like, "Oh, they must be all on post," and we really were. Which after thinking about it, that's growth for us, man. We used to be like large mob, like close by. We could have 10 years before that, or no, 5 years before that. We could have been right there, 20 deep, modeling at the at the call of the minister.
Exactly.
But that was growth for us, to that we were all from that position of vanity to the point that we're all occupied in what really to many was known or was made to be like the greatest event, the most anticipated event since the Million Man March.
Absolutely.
So to be one of those numbers, to be one of those men, I was there and I was working, and and my post was serious. Wasn't no garbage can detail, but that was a growth moment to memorialize.
All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir, Captain. And people showing you love. For the Cavs, name Muhammad Mas, number 96, Columbus, Georgia, the first revelation. Yes, sir. Thank you, Brother Cap. And thank everyone who's tapping in all across the country. Yes, sir. My next question for you, Brother Captain, is your greatest trial in life, and how have you been able to overcome that trial?
Greatest trial. Man, I would have to say the greatest trial that I had to face was maturity. I would say the decision of maturity. As a young man coming up, and I'm gonna segue to something else later. I'm gonna bring this back up, but around the time when I had decided for myself that I needed marriage, that I needed that to bind to. The maturity process was the greatest trial of making the best decision for me at the time, at that moment, in time, searching myself in that trial of maturity, of making mature decisions, of really searching out what was needed, for me, was probably the greatest trial.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. Praise to Allah. Okay, what about your greatest joy?
Oh man, that's easy, man. My family, not just my wife and children, 2 children, but during this time, most people already know that my father and my eldest sister were both at the same time diagnosed and battling cancer, right? And so you would think that would be the biggest trial, but really for us, that was the greatest joy that we really binded together. We really were at each other's side. We really were, making sure that we had support going to the treatments, going to their next phases and we're still, there. It really brought us together, closer together as a family unit, that we knew we had a great battle ahead of us, but, many wars of greater magnitude have been won with fewer men, so we just really got back to back and really, back against the wall and, we fighting, that was our mantra for a while, we fighting,
Well,
that's what we're gonna do.
Beautiful, Brother Tariq. Beautiful teaching. Okay, great. Yes, sir. Now, Brother Tariq, I gotta put while I get ready, we have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors. But I got to ask you the same thing that people ask me, because of our parents, walking into our father, specifically our father's footsteps, are you going to go into the ministry?
That's a good question. Why?
I mean, you've been teaching from the beginning. That's all I'm trying to find out. You've been teaching since the beginning. Are you going to go into the ministry?
Well, the right answer for us as soldiers will always be, wherever we're called to serve, we'll serve and we'll do it to the best of our ability. And only Allah can give us the accolade that, that we truly are looking for. But truthfully, when you say it, I had to think, man, can I even see myself, up there on the, I don't know. I talk to men pretty good, I don't know if I can do that. But, the truth of the matter is, wherever, you or I or any of us of this ilk are called to serve, I'm gonna put my best foot forward. I'm gonna give it my best effort, and I'm gonna, of course, research and follow the example of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And really, the answer is, when the time comes, and we'll all know that time, we will have to be ministers, captains, lieutenants, all in one, because you may be responsible for 100 men that just walk in off the street, because this world's, Satan's world is crashing, and they're looking for the footsteps of the Messiah. So, we'll make it happen. I know you will.
I know for a fact that you're gonna
make it happen.
Go ahead and teach, Brother Captain. Go ahead and teach. Beautiful. And people are showing you love. Hold on, I have a quick 6-second commercial break for all of the sponsors. And also, Brother Tariq, I want to let you know that we are sending positive energy to your father, your family, and your sisters.
Much appreciated.
Yes,
Much
sir.
appreciated.
If you all like to be a sponsor or donor of the People's Podcast, please cash app the People's Podcast. My brother Rashad, Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me, children's book and coloring book. And she also just released her children's book in Spanish, all on Amazon. Thank you very much. Go get those. My sister Naima, Stay on Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country, right here in the studio in Atlanta, Georgia. We love our tiny dancers. Rock Communications. If you are working on a book and you need copy editing, project management, content development, or media relations, please reach out to Rock Communications. Fashion Guys, Urban Streetwear, out for men and boys out of St. Louis, Missouri, 314-329-6009. Student Minister Robert L. Muhammad, out of Austin, Texas, conflict mediation, squashing the beef throughout the Southwest region. He's doing a phenomenal job. Children of the Most High, giving birth to a God in the science of child rearing. His wife, Sister Foodie Muhammad's book. Please get that. Sister Sherry, AsiaticMinds.com. She teaches virtually young kings and queens, STEM, all across the country. AsiaticMinds.com. Please sign your children up. Brother Kenneth, bow tie maker extraordinaire. He'll ship bow ties to you anywhere across the nation. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad, COVID-19 disinfecting cleaning services out of Chicago. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, AbdulSharif.com. Last but not least, my 2 books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Thank you very much. Okay, now, Brother Captain.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now, I was telling you, in my book that I just did, No Father, No Excuse, there's a chapter on apologies and forgiveness, and it dealt with the Memphis incident, the minister and his son and things of that nature. I want to go back to that because it's good that we all connected across. I never knew that situation with your story, but we all on the same thing. People who grew up in this and this and that. But then to see you carry the legacy of your father in such a strong way, how do you handle the pressure of coming behind a man like your father and you doing it? Man, it looks like I never knew you had pressure. I knew it because it's you assume, but from the outside looking in, I didn't know there was pressure to come behind such a great man. So how do you handle that pressure?
Man, that's a good question, man. I get that a few times. At least, if not that, the question of how do you how do you be a captain under your father? And so it's, I would say I know at least somebody can identify with this. There was a period of time where I was trying to again go around. I was avoiding that pressure. I was trying to be, I'm trying to be my own man. I'm trying to be, I'm trying to create my own footprint. And it just, didn't feel natural. To be honest with you, after a while, it felt like more work than anything else. And so you got this mentality that you're trying to, forge your way. You're trying to be, not be famous, but you just want your own name associated with you. But there's really, what I'll say, one of the things that I learned from Brother Rashad Trays, what he instilled was legacy is important. I mean, to deny that you come from such great magnitude it just does, why would you do that? You know,
Absolutely.
in fact, not him quoting him word for word, but I'm looking at you because I've seen I know your father's work. So why would you not, why would you avoid that? Or why would you not come through that, or better yet, stand on that foundation and build higher on that? So after a while, it just, for a minute, it just didn't seem like it was cool to do, right? The people give a negative connotation, riding somebody else's coattails.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But man, it's kind of powerful, that you can come from, no matter what the legacy is, or no matter what, pitfalls, may have had, or disagreements, to stand on the legacy and have the opportunity to build, on more. You can't have more people grateful to your father for being like a father to them than you are. That it just doesn't add up. Even with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan giving us, pouring out to us that personal situation, and all of what he had to do, or the not neglect, but to sacrifice his family had to make for him to teach our families, is if that forgiveness could be given, if he can ask for forgiveness, again, he really asked for all of our parents. He really just wiped the slate clean, So once that slate was clean, then I could see a little better, and once I, dealt with that inside myself, then it was, oh no, I'm Abdul Aziz's son, Tariq Muhammad.
Beautiful. Yeah. Praise be to Allah. And Brother Frank is saying real talk. Go ahead, sir, and giving the greetings like Islam. People showing love all over the country. Yes, sir. Now, speaking of you becoming a husband and a father, what advice would you give to future husbands?
Let's see, man. I would advise us to be very well acquainted with ourselves, to know the man that you are currently, and to aspire to be the man that you aspire to be. So once you accept who and what you are, and you aspire to be more, then you give a sister an even ground to stand on. It's, how should I say, the courtship process is meant to be a very unemotional process, a very straightforward, hey, this is what I got, this is who I am, hey, I'm in an apartment, I'm in a studio apartment, I work here, I'm building up, saving up for my business, I'm researching these things, this is what I want to do, this is where I am. If we hide that, or we try to mask that, or we try to match our courtship up to the standards of, it's like some type of reality show. Like, oh, snap, that's who Tariq. Okay, I see you. Okay,
I see you. Okay. I see you.
If we do that, like, we really just, we just, negate the whole process, because, you're supposed to get to know the bare bones of somebody, to see, can we work with this? Is this something that we could do? And it's a lot of hard questions. So, and it's a lot of, not, I won't say ugliness, it's just, truthfulness. So if we really lock into that, then, and we're not afraid, being afraid to fail is not a good sign for success. It's not a good model for success. So what we think is a failed courtship, a courtship that doesn't end in marriage is not a failed courtship. It's a successful courtship. So, and some of us be trying not to carry courtships like it's like we got bodies on us. Like, yo, man, brother got, 10 bodies.
He stay in the courtship. He always court somebody.
But that first part of knowing yourself, you know, really being truthful with who you are at this stage of your development. And when you know yourself, then you can kind of understand what type of compliment you need, or what type of helpmeet you need to get to where you want to be. You know, it's future planning, you know. So those decisions can be hard, you know. It takes a lot of, again, maturity. You have to overcome immaturity to make those, you know. Nothing wrong with sister at all, but this may not go the way that we envision it to go. So, you know, with no malice in our hearts, with no transgression against one another, this is where we stop. This is where we end, and we start the process over again, you know, to find that one that's going to help us get to our destination in the best way.
Beautiful. All praises. Yes, sir. How has fatherhood impacted you?
As a father, I would say, I want to say patience, but not quite, you know. That's kind of what I'm aspiring to. That's kind of what I'm aspiring to. But, you know, it definitely has built an understanding, you know, first coming to reality or grips with the relationship with me, and, you know, or mending, or, you know, bridging the gap between me and my father, helped me to preemptively bridge potential gaps with me and my children, you know. So I guess the layman's terms of saying that is, you know, you try not to be what things that bothered you. You know, you remember yourself as a child, and, you know, man, I didn't like when dad did that, you know, so I'm gonna not do that, you know, unless, you know, until you realize, you know, some things it's like, oh man, maybe, you know, it may not be another way around that. It may not be another way around that. Okay. So then you get some more understanding on why some things happen the way they happen and so forth. But, you know, I have the same, I'd say, work ethic and drive that, you know, when my father was the student captain in the Eastern region, this was before New York was actually the regional city. His work through the New York and New Jersey, just constantly moving, and then add to that, this is not even including the movement with the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan. This is just his work in the city and in the you know, the tri-state area.
Yes, sir.
Moving all over the New York and Jersey, and some of Philly. You know, so I have that same, you know, work ethic. I have that same drive. I'm moving. I'm constantly moving. I'm working. I'm getting into other ventures, and then I have to remember, you know, I got to stop sometimes. I have to not, you know, just the rest of the weekend, nothing. You know, everything that was there, just wipe it off. You know, try to catch that back up in a couple of days. Just be present, you know, with the family.
Ooh, for all praises to Allah. And Brother Captain, I just want to let you know that it's been an honor to serve alongside of you for, you know, holding posts, and to see you without children, know you before you was married, to see you now. I'm proud of you, man. We're proud of you. We're happy, and we're sending nothing but positive energy to your way. Got a few more questions for you, sir. Big into music, so what's your favorite album of all time?
Of all time? Wow.
Yes, sir. Let's get into it.
Okay. So my favorite album of all time is probably gonna throw you. Is Marvin Gaye, Trouble Man.
Okay. I mess with it.
Yeah, no, it's probably one of the only albums that I could, no matter how many times, I could put it on repeat, loop it back over and over and over again, and just listen through straight to. The instrumentation is crazy. You know, it's just complete to me, you know. So That's the one. I don't know if you specifically.
I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that. But that's a classic. Nonetheless, it's a classic. Nonetheless,
that was it. That was the one, man. For me, I don't know if I have to, think on rap albums. I kind of thought that's what you meant.
Oh no, because like for you was Marvin Gaye. Like I would be backstage at the drill competition, and people be like, I know he listened to Tupac. I know he's listening to Lil Wayne or something, and I'm 9 times out of 10 it was gonna be some rock and roll. 9 times out of 10, or you know what I'm saying, some extreme R&B or something. Like they be like, you'll never know. So it ain't always, it ain't always that. So
yeah. I got an ill playlist like that.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not always what you expect. You never. Okay, yes, sir. Now our last question for you is, once again, on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we want to thank you for your sacrifice, the sacrifice of your family. Now that I know you connected in more ways than one with the legacy and the pressure of the fathers, we thank you for pushing through and still standing in line, standing your ground, man, and being here and upholding the flag. Praise be to Allah. What do you want your legacy to be, sir?
Man, well, my legacy, as I said, I'm a second generation Muslim. I'm blessed to have, children, and inshallah, they will be third generation Muslims and carry on this torch. I want my legacy to be service. I want my children, when they become of age, to be in service, to the people. And I know we have for a while, we Muslims, we say these things, and not that they're not genuine, but really and truthfully, the only way to advance ourselves is to serve someone else, is to help someone else obtain something of themselves, and you have a relationship for life. So from that, I'm gonna segue and give some flowers here, man, because around the time of 2009, 10-ish, I want to say leading up to Holy Day in Philadelphia, you inspired a nation of young brothers to present themselves. This was the language we were using at that time, to present ourselves as a gift to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You introduced us, many of us, to Brother Rashad for the first time. Man, the assignments and details that we were carrying through the Southern tour, through leading all the way up to Holy Day and beyond.
All praise to
I mean, it was in that tour that I sat. It was you that said that I was listening to, and you told, at least you spoke to me in my soul, man, you gotta get married. Oh, not you probably don't remember
that one. I don't know how I was feeling that day, but yeah,
don't even know. But man, we was in there, we had these down times, man, and we just talking, what else do you, enjoin the men of God to do but to complete their faith?
Oh, praise so beautiful.
And man, you inspired me to get married several years later. But from that camaraderie, from that brotherhood, that unity that you brought together, that you inspired, you are an inspiration to I don't want to separate us too much. We're not that far apart, but truthfully, you are inspiration and our example for my generation of young brothers that were coming up. We were following your lead, and still to this day, I say to this day, I would follow you into battle, brother.
Oh, praise be to Allah. Thank you, Brother Capt. That means so much to me, man. And I don't remember that, but I love soldiering with y'all. I love traveling, and that tour was life changing for sure. And man, people forget that it was a time where you wouldn't see nobody who was under 35 nowhere near trying to like that.
Man, and we had some rough patches, didn't we?
Yeah, that wasn't even a thought. But all praise due to Allah.
And you talk about being fearless, like, I mean, we hit some rough patches in there, didn't we?
Absolutely. Beautiful,
that was
man.
like, man, hold up, man. Y'all coming in a little too strong, man.
Yeah. We definitely had a takeover mentality.
Oh, man, we was coming hard. I mean, Shab was in the back. Man, Shab was snapping pictures. We got now on the pictures. We got now. I was like, oh.
But no, I was going to tell you that the same respect is here for you and your family. And every time I saw you, I was just like, he's an extension of the great soldier and servant of Allah, your father, who the Donahue, like that's like my favorite memory of anything of Donahue and, you know, turning around and asking, why is this man standing behind me? You know what I'm saying? This scary man. And he talk about your dad, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and to see you is like, oh, that's part 2. So it's our chance to get the Donahues, Lehman marches, all of that. So you know what I'm saying? So it's an honor to be a legacy with you, a descendant of soldiers in the cause of Islam, brother. May Allah continue to bless you and your family. Let's win, man. We're gonna keep fighting for our nation. Thank everybody who's watching. I'm put this on YouTube. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam.
And please give your family the love and respect on behalf of me and my family. Yes, sir.
I surely will. Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.